channel can actually see us right now.
Oh, geez, I should have put on some makeup.
It's okay. I'm not that popular, so
I disagree.
it won't be 500,000 people or anything like that. So you don't have to
Okay,
worry.
all
I'm
right.
not Tamar or nobody like that. So let's go ahead and start our interview redux. Since I was in full mommy of free mode last week and just completely
Sure,
bombed that.
sure.
Thank you for being willing and flexible to sit with me again. And I'm actually kind of happy thinking about it now because I got to talk to you for a little while. So I feel like my questions are actually, deeper and more complex now. So I'm like, oh, this is a good thing. So I may just do that from now on, just, have accidental interviews with people and then have the real one a couple days later. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's get started. So last week we started off talking about your book, and I want to do that again. So Panther in the Hive is an exciting book about Tasha Lockett, and I read all about it. She has a knife in a Prada backpack, and I'm just like, okay, I'm getting the visual. It's just amazing. So I know
Yeah.
she's a woman of color. She's trying to survive like a cybertronic apocalypse where there were
Yeah.
chips implanted in people, and now they turned into zombies. And so tell us about that, and then tell me, why one you were inspired to write a book, a sci-fi fantasy dystopian type book,
Hmm.
and why you thought to include a woman of color.
Yeah. Well, the first, sci-fi and fantasy kind of deal. My friend Lamont actually said to me recently, he was like, it's people don't want to listen to current event issues that end up reading them in dystopian books, so
Yeah.
like people that not necessarily be into, economic issues are reading the Hunger Games and are like, yeah,
Right.
so but I feel like it's a sly way to get people thinking about these issues, and my blogs are the more blatant way of doing that. And but I've been a writer, a creative writer, my entire life, and so I kind of that just seems the most natural way. Like I'm gonna talk about it, whatever medium I'm writing in.
Right.
So so that's kind of well, I guess that doesn't answer why dystopian. It just kind of happened like that, really. I mean, my other fiction isn't like that necessarily. It's
Yeah.
always a little weird. I don't
Yeah.
things aren't just straight, fiction. Just regular day to day stuff. It's
Yeah.
always a little weird, but most of my work isn't like that. So with Tasha, she, as we discussed before, she's kind of this amalgamation of about two women in my life who
Right.
inspired her very heavily, and then there's other women that have kind of thrown in there also. But she just kind of came to me one day, and I was in my kitchen cutting chicken, and I had this knife in my hand, and I was like, it just I don't know. And I've been living in Chicago for a few years then.
Yeah.
I'm from Louisville, and I moved here, and I was just really inspired by the city, and but I was also kind of uninspired by the city. A lot of the things that Chicago is known for,
Right.
police brutality and
Right.
segregation here, and
Right.
all of these things, and all of those things kind of show themselves in my book. So um, it was just kind of a way for me to talk about all these things that I saw, but in a way that I'm like, this kind of is the apocalypse already, like so it just kind of came that way. But yeah. Is that what was the second question? Oh, and why a woman of color?
What? You're right.
Um, she had to be. She had to be. The the women that inspire all of my work are all women
Yeah.
of color. The women that I spend my everydays with, are women of color.
Right.
So it it makes sense to me that my heroine would be. I guess it never really crossed my mind to make her otherwise.
Right.
She is who all my heroines look like. And
Right.
it's like that's. I wish I had a better way to answer that question. And also just because I guess the more conscious, that's the unconscious part of it. Is that all of these women in my life and all of the women that I grew up reading. Toni
Yeah.
Morrison and
Yeah.
like all of these women that have inspired my work. Octavia Butler especially. So like
Mhm.
that's the unconscious, but the conscious is, I guess, why we want to do another book with Katniss Everdeen, who there's enough Katnisses, there's
I
enough
agree.
Katnisses,
I
and
agree.
and like I think that's one of the things I said in my book or in the the promotional video about my book is, you know, we got enough Katniss. How about Rue gets
Right.
the heroin action this time? You know, instead
Right.
of dying in the first book. So
Right.
so
Right.
that's kind of the long way to say that, I guess.
So then here's my question for you. We're all aware of um, the limits placed on people of color in certain communities. We're all aware of the industry and glass ceilings and all those structural barriers that women of color face.
Yeah.
My question for you is, what do you think having this black heroine will do for fiction? I mean, do you see yourself as kind of getting the ball rolling on some social change here, or is it not that serious to you? You're like, no, this is just natural for me. This is how it's supposed to be. Or do you think this can kind of, make the ripples in the water that we're hoping to see?
Yeah, I hope that it gets a ball rolling. It's both. I don't want to say it's not serious to me because it's extremely serious to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also it is natural to me, you know,
Right.
to do that. But there's other women that are doing it already. You know, women of color that are writing these heroines of color that
Right.
aren't getting enough attention.
Agreed.
You know, and I feel like I just can't wait to get anywhere where anybody's listening to me so that I can talk about them in a
Yeah.
capacity that people will hear. You know,
Yeah.
I was at the Chicago Writers Conference recently, and do you know the author Nnedi Okorafor? Is that her name?
I've heard the last name, but I didn't know that was the first name.
Oh, she's so good. She's so good. And I'd never heard of her until I got to Chicago Writer Conference. And here she
Yeah.
was on this panel. And she's this brilliant Nigerian American writer.
Yeah.
And she writes all this science fiction about, you know, some of it takes place here, but a lot of it is in Nigeria and like
Right.
based on, you know, her childhood and her life experiences and going back and her family. And she's just fucking amazing. She's
Yeah.
brilliant. And it's just like, why am I not hearing about her? You know, because
Right.
her writing is killing Suzanne Collins. Killing
Really?
her. Oh my God. I mean, just leaps and bounds beyond. And I'm like, so why is she not a bestseller? Why is she not in the front of
Right.
everyone's minds? You know?
Right.
But, you know, I hope to get some social change, but she's already doing it. You know?
Right.
She's already doing it. She's inspired me. My only concern, and this is a concern about myself and also like, you know, white writers who choose to write about characters of color, you know,
Right.
that they do so responsibly and not,
Right.
you know, in an informed way. Because
Right.
there's this young guy that he keeps getting retweeted onto my timeline. I follow a lot of writers, and so a lot of writers, you know, follow me and they retweet my, you know, their other people's stuff. And
Yeah.
and he's a white writer that writes about people of color, and he's also
Yeah.
a science fiction writer. And
Uh-huh.
and I just don't like it. You know, I don't like it. He's a decent writer. I mean, nothing against his craft, but
Yeah.
the way that he writes these characters of color, I'm like, you know, this is supposed to be in the future.
Is it
Why do they all sound like they're from, you know,
Right.
Compton or, you know, like who he imagines Compton to be? Exactly,
Right.
yeah. The authenticity, I think, you know, I don't know. I don't want to give myself a pass, and I don't
Right.
want to give any other person anywhere a pass, you know.
Right.
So when you say, you know, am I going to inspire social change? I would really love to, but I hope I'm not, you know, I don't want to lead it. I want to help
Right.
other women writers who are doing this already, you know, Nnedi Okorafor and all these wonderful women. I want to push them, you know, push them
Right.
along. If any privilege that I have and that I'm able to do that with, I want to be able to do that.
Got it. So, I mean, it kind of leads into what we talked about last time, where you described yourself as a curator. You said, I'm a curator of sorts when it comes to Black women in activism, and that you really want to be amplifying the voices of Black women as opposed
Yep.
to being the leader, being the person who's going to get the start of whatever the movement is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, number one, do you think that's possible? Do you think it's possible to be in your position and be a curator, or do you think maybe you'll always kind of be pushed into a leadership position? And how do you think your role, as it stands today, kind of what you've done so far, how do you think that gives you a unique perspective on
Yeah.
the movement that Black women have right now for the Black feminist movement, the womanism movement? How do you think that kind of adds dimension to the movement?
Well, you said the first question was, is it possible?
Right.
You know, I think it is possible to just curate, you know, because there's so many women of color that are amazing writers and that are have all these amazing things that they're saying on social media and offline also, you know,
Right.
is I think I could spend, if it was my job, I could spend, you know, 8, 9 hours a day like it was my job, just retweeting and sharing and linking to and doing all that stuff. It's entirely possible for me to just curate. You know, it is entirely possible. Whether the machine, as we might call it, will let me is, you know, that's another question. You know, I feel like, oh fuck, you know, I'm also an artist, you know, so I will always do my own creating also, but where it fits into, you know, that spectrum, I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. I want to be able to do both. I want to both create and also curate. But I don't want to overshadow anyone while I'm enlightening. You know, I don't want my goal of enlightening other white people to overshadow women of color who are seeking to do the same thing. You know, that's the last thing I want. So I have to tread very softly. As for, how did you say it? You know, for my writing, the work that I've done so far. You know, writing Why I'm Not Here for White Girls Rock. I mean, that brought you and I together. You know, and it's, you know, you wrote that excellent piece, you know, just skewering me, and you know, and you know, and it's great. Like, I want to, you know, skewer me, you know, skewer
No,
me.
I didn't want to skewer you at all.
No, I know. But you know, it's that's the kind of stuff that you know, that's gonna happen. You know, that's gonna happen. As I don't want to take up more space than I should, you know, but because I have this passion, I'm going to end up taking up a little space, and I just always want to be kept in check, you know. I always want to be kept in check, like, okay, now you're taking up too much space, you know. I want to, you know, because, you know, I don't know if it's my personality or if it's my white privilege, because I feel like, you know, they get so, like, I don't know which is which sometimes, because both are so prevalent in my life, you know. So it's like, which is it that's keeping me from sitting down right now? Either way, I want someone to check me on either one, you know. So, you know, but then it's also not Black people's responsibility to watch me, and you know, and to, you know, exactly, that's my responsibility to police myself. So, you know, so is it possible for, you know, the work that I've done so far? I don't know what's possible yet. You know, I feel like, you know, I'm new to this too. You know, this publicity thing, like, this is crazy. You know, people know my work now, and not many people, but you know, some people do. And it's weird, and I don't know what's right yet, and I don't know what I should be doing right yet, you know, or what I shouldn't be doing, you know. So I'm just, that's why I'm glad to talk to you and, you know, other writers that are on the internet, and they're talking about the same things I'm talking about, so that, you know, we can kind of explore this together, because it's new terrain.
Well, I will say, in terms of what I've seen thus far, I adore you. So just start there. But I think that what you've done so far, what you've cultivated so far, is actually very brilliant. I mean, there is a lot of pushback when it comes to, you know, the Black community, when we kind of work towards something for so long, and then we have, you know, the allies. And there's allies can be a good word, and it can also be a bad word. And I think that you've done an excellent job of being a part of the family. Like, I don't see you as any different than a Jamila Lemieux or a Brittany Cooper. I mean, I see you in the exact same vein. And I think that's because you have been authentic, and you've been very wary and very cautious of your role. And you just said it yourself. You said, I mean, is it my white privilege? And a lot of people are not going to even admit that they have white privilege. So I think that you're aware of the fact that your privilege sometimes benefits you, things in this movement that some of us just don't get. Is, for me, and I think that's why I really wanted to talk to you, because I wanted to understand how that felt in one body. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're completely aware of what we're going through and what we're doing, and at the same time, you're aware of the structural factors that make you different. And I think that's just amazing. So I'm digressing, but I have a random question for you.
Sure.
What is it with Miley Cyrus? I want to know.
I think it's like, kind of like I just said, there is no one checking her. There is no one checking her. Not her mother, not her father, not her agent, not her PR person. No one is checking her.
Right.
And, you know, that's bad parenting, but
Right.
it's also just bad friendship. She's surrounded with
I
bad
agree.
friends. And,
I
you know,
agree.
like, that's this white, ooh, I've been wanting to rant about this for a while. You know, it's like, I feel like white people are always surrounded by bad friends, you
Yeah.
know, and but friends that they see as good friends that they
Right.
can just be themselves with,
Right.
and, you know, and do this thing that is not okay, and no one's
Right.
checking them. And it's like,
Right.
that's one of the things that white privilege kind of, you know, allows us, is that we can insulate ourselves
Right.
from the rest of the world, and we can do this thing that we think is cool, and we got a bunch of white people around us telling it, oh yeah, that is cool, yeah, like Harlem Shake, the Harlem Shake thing,
Oh.
you know. Okay, dead, dead. You know, all these white people saying, yeah, this is cool, and therefore it is
No.
cool because they say it's cool.
Yeah.
No. And so that's what's going on with Miley. No one is checking her. She's surrounded by not just yes men, but white
Yeah.
privilege yes men.
I
And
agree.
and that's the worst. That's the worst.
I agree. I agree. And I came across some of your anti Miley Cyrusness, and I have my opinions as well. I've never been a fan. Um, but I 100% agree with you that there is just something very distinctly wrong with appropriation to that degree and of that style.
Yeah.
I mean, there's appropriation and then there's something and then there's Miley
Yeah,
Cyrus. And I
that's a
don't,
great way to put it. There's appropriation, and then there's Miley Cyrus,
I
because
don't know
she's
what it
a
is.
whole nother level. Because
Right.
it's to the point where, because, you know, I see white people appropriate other people's cultures, and
Right.
it's like, ooh, you know, but she's doing it, and it's like she's like, while she's doing it, like she's like, I
Right.
don't care. I don't care
Right.
that you're hurt. I hear that you're
Right.
hurt, and I don't care. Like,
Right.
she is just so disrespectful.
I agree. I
It
agree.
makes me crazy. It makes me crazy, you know? And it's just
I
like, yeah. It makes me crazy. It does. It does.
just know that you are amongst the friends with that one because it's a mess.
Yes. And
So I
she's
just,
young, you know? She's young. I'm like, but then, you know, you look at her, and, like, I think I tweeted something about it the other day. Mark
Yeah.
Jacobs, you know,
Yeah.
Mark Jacobs, he was like, oh, I just love Miley, and I
Yeah.
love her intelligence and her being and everything about her. She's
Right.
got billionaire, gazillionaire white people that are in her corner saying yes. So it's like, I don't just hold Miley accountable, although I do, and I want to, you know, but fuck you, Mark Jacobs. And you too, Billy Ray, what's his face? It's her dad. And you too, like, all these rich people that support her and think she's funny. Who dressed up as her as Halloween and thought it was cute? Was it like Paris Hilton or somebody? Fuck
Yeah, I
you,
think it
Paris
was.
Hilton. Like, to all of you, because they're all the problem.
I want to bottle you and sell you. This is amazing.
Bottle me up.
Oh my gosh, you just said fuck you to everybody in Hollywood.
Everybody, all of them.
I appreciate that, and I 100% agree. I mean, we've talked before about the lack of people of color in Hollywood and in the industry. And how do you feel about, I mean, when you see people like Miley Cyrus, right? You see what she's doing. What do you think that does to the narrative when we are having parallel discussions about, when people like Gabrielle Union get up and have a conversation with other black women and say, you know what, it's been tough. It's hard being a black woman in Hollywood. It's hard being us. There's not a lot of roles for us. And everyone in the audience is crying. And then juxtapose that against Miley Cyrus with her tongue out, with a finger in the air and teddy bears and her butt hanging out. So my question for you is, what do you think Miley Cyrus does when we have a simultaneous conversation about black women and the black culture being represented in the industry? Do you think it hurts our argument or strengthens it or nothing? Are they unrelated?
I think it depends on whose perspective you're looking at. I feel like when you're looking at white people who would look at Miley Cyrus and be like, yeah, Miley, and you ask them what she does, they would say that she undermines black women's arguments. They would say, well, this is what black women do. She's only doing what you guys are doing. Like, that is what a white racist person would say. But anyone who has a ounce of brain in their head is going to say, no, this actually upholds that argument because look at what she's doing. You know, this is precisely why it's so difficult for black women in Hollywood, you know, and just in the media in general. You know, she makes a mockery of herself, but when white people who are racist look at her, somehow that blame is transferred onto black women. Because, like, as if she's, like, I don't understand it. It's like osmosis. I don't understand how Miley Cyrus can do a thing. And black women are blamed for it. Like, well, if black girls had never twerked, then there would be no Miley Cyrus. And I'm just like, no. But that's the chain of thought. And, you know, I can't think of anything that undermines that argument. You know, I'm trying to think of, like, well, if you're going to say that something undermines the argument of black women having it difficult in Hollywood, then it would be X, but that X doesn't exist. I can't think of anything that would undermine that argument.
Nothing logical, correct.
Nothing logical, yeah.
So, okay, so here you are, right? You're a white woman. Miley Cyrus is a white woman. You're not down with Miley Cyrus. Most of your friends are black women, right? So how do you navigate those social circles when it comes to activism? I mean, I'm wondering because you said before you're from Kentucky, but you've always kind of had, you know, black female friends. But what happens when you are not amongst your black female friends? How do you navigate those circles? Because I mean, I'm a big, tall, brown girl, and I have a hard time, you know.
How tall are you? Are you tall, really?
I'm 6'4" tall. I'm very tall.
Are you really? I'm so jealous.
I am a giant.
You look like all I see is your head ever. So
yeah,
you know.
It's funny because everyone always says, "Oh, well, you're so proportionate," and I'm like, "Yes, I'm not lanky. Thank you." But and I personally, I mean, I've had issues navigating new social circles with black women in particular, and I'm wondering for you how that even feels. And I'm asking you because this whole interview series is about understanding the perspective of other people who are in the exact same struggle, right? They're in the exact same social activism, anti-racism struggle as black women, as black people are, but just have a different vantage point. So I really want to kind of dig and see, you know, what are some of the emotions that you go through and some of the things that you do to cope when you're dealing with people who are not welcoming, who you're advocating for, but they don't want nothing to do with you. Does that happen?
So how do I? Oh, okay. How do I deal when I'm around black women who don't welcome me?
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about how do I navigate those. Okay, got you.
Right. Does it happen? I mean,
it does happen. Yeah, it doesn't happen much. You know, I'm trying to think the last time it did happen. Sometimes, like, if I'll go to an event, if I'll go to, like, especially for my job, if I go to a networking event, there's a group here in Chicago that's mostly black women in advertising and marketing, and it's a great group. They do all these, they invented this group, they started themselves, and now they put on these big fundraisers, and it's great. And, but I go, and sometimes there's a little, like, you know, like, a little eyebrow raising, and, you know, I get it. You know, I get it. I can't be mad. I can't be mad because if I was them, I would be doing the same thing. I would be like, you know, this is a black women's event. What are you doing here? You know, I am an interloper. You know, I am kind of a guest in those spaces. So I behave as if I would in any host's home. You know, respectfully and with patience and you know, and with graciousness because you know I'm grateful that they're letting me be in this space and. I try to just be a good guest. So, you know, it's usually, those are the only times that I ever get really any static, you know. Sometimes I'll, like, go to a friend's party and, you know, most people there will know me, but there's a couple people that don't, and they're kind of like, well, what's she doing here? But, you know, I can only be me. You know, I can only be me, and usually after they have a conversation, this actually happened recently. I was at a barbecue, and well, an indoor barbecue, a potluck. There was a woman there who I hadn't met, and everyone else had, and she, you know, was a little like, what are you doing here? You know, but then we ended up sitting next to each other, and you know, shared some beans, and it was fine. But you know, I think. Not everyone is going to react to me the same, and that's in any circle, you know. So I never really think like, I never really think like, but I'm advocating for you, you know, like
Yeah.
that's not really, because they don't know me, like they don't know me. How can I expect them to welcome me when I'm just
Right.
a girl with pointy red hair, you know?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's really more awkward for me, honestly, in white circles
That's what I was
because
going to ask you. I was going to ask you that next because I would think that you'd have a harder time
I do.
with, yeah.
I do. It's harder for me in white circles. You know, at work, at my
Yeah.
job, it's hard. It is hard. White people have kind of antenna. You know,
Mm.
they can sense when when you're not one of them.
Right.
you know.
Right.
This is gonna be on the internet.
Is
Oh
it
God.
Whitey Sins? Can we just call it Whitey Sins?
Whitey senses. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's so funny. But really though, it is they can sense it, you know, though
Yeah.
like I've had experiences, especially with white women, where they're like, hey, and then, I talk and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, oh, and I can't help how I sound, and I can't
Right.
help, this is who I am, and
Right.
I'm lucky enough to have one good friend at work who
Right.
she's a white woman, and I haven't been this close to a white woman since middle school, like ever, in a
Yeah.
long time, and she's great, and she
Yeah.
really tries, she understands my background and she reads my work and she tries, and
Right.
that's the thing. White folks, they don't usually want to try with me.
Right.
They're kind of just, they're like, alien,
Right.
like they stamp me, and it can be hard and it can be lonely, but I've got friends. I don't need my coworkers to necessarily,
Right.
love me. I work there. That's all.
So would you say, and this is my last two questions, but so would you say that some of the kind of barriers that you're feeling from those circles is because of a lack of exposure? Because a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm not racist. I've just never been around black people. Or I'm not racist, or I'm not anti-black people. I never knew any of them. So how
Hmm.
am I supposed to? My question is, does that then imply that if every single white person in the world just got to touch and see a black person, then somehow racism would go away? Or are there some inherent, things that just will never ever change? What are your stances on the whole idea of, I'm ignorant and I'm not racist, I'm just ignorant?
You know, uh, I don't know. I feel like, when I lived in Louisville,
Yeah.
uh, there was white kids that would come to the school that this was the only place they knew black people,
Right.
and they would, this was like their first time being
Right.
around black people, and so like,
Right.
it was a mostly black school, and you know they were uncomfortable. Then there was other white kids who were
Yeah.
from the same neighborhoods and were, they were used to it. They were used to it. So, and they were around black people all the time, but they still say racist shit.
Right.
They still say
Right.
racist shit. So
Right.
I think that, exposure is a big part of it, I
Right.
think, in education, but it's not just being around black people. It's not like, it's like you sit next to a black person at a barbecue and then you go away and all is solved. There needs to be education on top of that.
Right.
And because, yeah, I mean, yeah, the more I think about it, I think about this kid, Justin.
Yeah.
I just thought of this boy the first time in like 20 years. But, he lived in the same neighborhood
Yeah.
as all these black kids, and he was still a little racist shithead. He
Yeah.
was. And he talked like us, well, like I said, like us, like them. He talked
Understand.
like, like black kids, and
Yeah.
he lived in the same neighborhood and went to the same school, but he still said racist shit. And
Yeah.
it's like you gotta teach on top of that. Exposure isn't just enough. There needs to be like books read and seminars attended. And
Right.
unfortunately, I wish that, educating, I wish that unteaching racism
Yeah.
was just a matter of empathizing and being,
Yeah.
and because, I feel like a lot of white people, I think for a huge number of white people, empathy is a big issue, but,
Yeah.
we're like lacking the lack of empathy. But then there's also some that empathize, but it's more like sympathy and not empathy.
It's pity. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're pity, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, I feel bad that happened to you, or that this is your situation, but
Right.
nothing I can do. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
there needs to be accountability. There needs to be all of these things. You know, it's more than contact, and you know, people can claim ignorance forever. You
Right.
know, they can claim ignorance forever. Like, well, because then, you know, okay, I never knew any black people,
Right.
but now you do. But, well, I don't really talk to any black people.
Right.
Okay, so now you
Right.
got to go home. So, oh, well, I've never even spent time in nobody's black's home before. So, like, you know, it keeps going, going, going. I've never had a
Right.
black professor before. Like,
Right.
so it
Right.
just needs to be total immersion or,
Right.
you know, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. And I'm actually interviewing a couple people for this series, and the first one is Amar Rahman. He's the comedian from Australia who has the really crazy viral video about reverse
Mm.
racism.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and when I asked him, I said, "What would you do to fix it?" And he said, "I think we need to have a brown planet. We need to all just go live on an asteroid where all the brown people can live and just give up." And
Man,
I thought, damn, that's depressing.
it is.
Like that's really, really sad. But I cannot argue with you because you really can't argue someone out of racism. I mean,
Yeah,
and that's something he said in his interview. I don't see how you can argue someone out of racism. You
yeah,
do this work and it's like banging your head up against the wall because they
yeah.
won't be racist. They will always find a justification for
They
their own
will.
race.
Yeah, they will. They'll find a justification, or they'll, you know, backslide, or
Right.
they'll, you know, there's all these things that, oh, sorry, boyfriend's plugging in my computer for me. I guess it's dying. Um, but yeah, I mean, they'll argue out of it, or they'll, you know, like that's why I don't bother on like comments on my blog anymore. I
Right.
used to like religiously respond to everyone, and you know, well,
Right.
unless it gets outrageous, there's like something like 200 comments in 24 hours.
Right.
I'm like, no, no.
Right.
But the kind of people that you're going to be able to educate aren't the kind of people that come on a blog post and talk some shit.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they're not there to be educated. I'm not wasting my time. I'm not doing it. You know, I block on Twitter now. I used to try to, in my little 140 characters, you know, try to, you know, send a couple. It's not worth it. These people aren't here to learn. You know,
No.
so you know, and then of course, you know, the derailers, you know, they're like, you know, oh, well, you're not really
Yeah.
interested in unity if you're not willing to explain this to me. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like that's anybody on Twitter who knows anything knows that that is a tactic, you know.
Booty.
Right. So I don't know, but I wish I had the answer to. I hope it's not an asteroid. You know.
Yeah, and so I want to let you go because it's getting late, but
Oh, isn't it?
yeah, I know you have your book coming out, and I have mine pre-ordered, so I'm ready to go. What's next? I mean, what's next on your journey to take over the universe? I mean, what can we expect from you?
Um, you know, more ranting. There's always more of that. I'm working on the sequel to Panther in the High. Working on that. I'm currently working with. Do you know the author Kwame Alexander?
Yes.
Yeah, Kwame. He's a friend of mine, and we are working. Me and him and another author, Tanisha Davis, are working on like a three-prong young adult novel that incorporates hip hop and youth experience, and you know, yeah, you know, it's really exciting. So I'm writing a third of it. He's writing it. Well, it's going to be three different stories.
Yeah.
Written by three different authors and all woven in together using song lyrics and all this stuff.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's really dope, and it was all his idea. And he's like, we should do this, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm writing the first part of it right now. I'm about to pass it off to him this weekend, actually, and then he's gonna write his part. Tanisha's gonna write her part. I'm always writing something, you know. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. Stay tuned.
I feel like I just got the scoop because that's kind of awesome right there.
It is, it is. Yeah, keep that on the low.
Okay, on the
As
low.
I just say it on the internet, but yeah. But I'll
Well,
keep
I
you
mean, you have something else? Anything else new?
I mean, other than the sequel and all of that, you know, the book itself is going to be out, like physical copies in March. So,
March, right.
you know, yep, stay tuned for that. But you know, mostly it's just more of the same. I'm trying to like pave a path right now, you know, so that eventually I can kind of work for myself and write for myself
Right.
and have that be life. But
Right.
that's a ways
So
off.
I feel like this was amazing, and this is for
Me too.
my Preaching to the Choir series. But I really want to come back and talk to you more because my husband is an author. He's a writer as well, and I think you'd be a great person to have on the site to
Yeah.
talk about writing and just do an in-depth interview. Maybe he'll do it, but about writing. Would you be willing to do that with us?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. I
Anytime.
think people could really benefit to hear from you specifically since you're working with other writers of color and you're
Yeah.
writing about people of color, and
Mm-hmm.
there's just not that many of us out there.
True.
So I think
Yeah.
that would be really great. But I'm gonna
I'd
let you
love to.
go.
All right. All
I
right.
This was amazing.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
having me.
glad that you were not upset by my skewering.
Nah,
But
I loved it.
awesome. So let's try
All
and
right.
hook up. I know you said you'll be out here later next month, and I definitely
Yeah.
want to try and
We
talk to
need to
Ellen.
hook up. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
Jen.
Have a
Have a
good
good
night.
night. All right.
All right. See
Bye.
ya.